reality sets in, and we're here.
Respect isn't given, it's earned. In blood.
Boxing King Media. It's Sunday and it's absolutely freezing. Dom's got rid of his t-shirts. He's back in his not gilet, but back in his jacket.
I bought this coat, believe it or not. I was in Wales. I went down to Pwllheli, nice place, and it was a lovely day. It was in the summer, to be honest, but it turned a bit cold. So I just went to a shop and I managed to get one of these. But this is when we were sat the other day with Luke, and he said he got 2 of these coats. Well, this is the same brand, that's why I recognised it, but it is a comfortable coat.
Decent.
And if we're going to do an interview today in this gym, because I think it's a bit cold because I've got low body fat, must be sub 10% by now.
Yeah.
I need to keep warm.
Well, you keep reminding him about the low body fat. I actually forgot last time. I was going to put the video of you up on the bag punching it, to show people that it wasn't AI. I completely forgot. So in fact,
I can always take my shirt off and do it again.
No, it'll be on now. So this time I haven't forgotten. As you can see right now, Dom's there pounding the bag. Let us know. Do you think that's AI or is that real? Dominic Ingle. You can only see him from behind. It could be a stunt double. You never know.
It could be.
Could be a stunt double. We're in the 6th most famous boxing gym in the world, according to an article that I read the other day, Dom.
Oh, yeah.
A guy called Sean Brown.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I know Sean Brown. Yeah, he's been around a while.
So he wrote an article about gyms across the world that have been around for a long time, got big reputations, and he named the Winkerbank gym as number 6, obviously known as the Ingle gym, and it talks about your father, his legacy, etc. And then at number 5...
You think I could pick them out? Because there's not.
Well, there's obviously 5 gyms ahead of the Ingle gym. Which ones do you think?
I don't know in order, but I would say you've got the Cronk gym.
Yeah, that's number 1.
You've got Gleason's.
That's number 2. So that's number 3 on the article.
You've got, what else have you got? Freddie Roach's gym.
Yeah, that's on the list. That's number 5.
What else have we got?
You might struggle with this one, I'll just tell you. Catskills.
Oh, Catskills, yeah,
Catskills, a gym where Mike Tyson started off. Cust D'Amato, the legend. And the Fifth Street gym.
Oh, Fifth Street gym out, yeah.
In Miami, yeah. So you got 3.
I've been to that, but it's not in the original place. It's been in several locations, that Fifth Street gym. So when I went with Liam Williams when he boxed Andrade, we went to the Fifth Street gym, but it was on the same kind of block, but not in the same place where it should be because it's changed around a bit.
Is it the one that's got a punch bag right outside the door?
I can't remember now.
Okay.
I've got some videos of it.
Good stuff. Right, we'll kind of jump straight into the boxing, Dom. You, alongside numerous people, I don't think I met anyone other than John Fury who picked Fabio Wardley to win by knockout. Every single person that either had Joseph winning on points or by knockout. You went for a close points decision, but there was a bit... you did say that it was going to be a close end-to-end fight, very close, and it was that type of fight, even though, I think on the judges' cards or on people's cards, Joe was ahead, but it was a back and forth type fight. So the first question I've got for you is, what did you think of the tactics both men applied in that fight as the fight was going along?
Yeah, no, it was a good fight. You have to make your choice with that. Joseph Parker, the experience, the amateur experience, the professional fights he's been in, and his recent spate of good form as well. I had to pick him in that fight because, Fabio Wardley's come from the unlicensed scene. He's had limited professional experience, although he's done exceptionally well. And anybody would have thought on paper that Joseph Parker's going to be able to negotiate through this fight and weather the storms. But one thing I've noticed about Fabio Wardley over his last couple of fights, when I paid a bit more attention to him, is that, especially when he boxed that Honey, there were a point in that fight, one of the rounds, when he looked disgusted with himself, as if to say, this is not going my way. And he almost had a look of resignation on his face that he was going to quit. Obviously, he weren't going to quit. And he kind of, like, must have talked himself up, and then he completely turned that fight around because I thought he was getting decently beaten that fight. And he could see him thinking, this is not me. And he had to dig deep, and he turned that kid around. And what you realise about Fabio Wardley, as with Joseph Parker, is sometimes with fighters, you can be winning a fight and you can let them back into the game 2 or 3 times and you can still win the fight. But with Fabio Wardley, you can't give him one chance, because when you give him that one chance, because that's what he's good at. He's not a fantastic boxer. He's not a bad boxer considering his background. But give him one chance, show him one chink in the armour, you've had it. And Joseph Parker was doing well in that fight. Apparently, he was 6 rounds up by some scorecards, doing all right. And you know, he performed well, Joseph Parker. He took some good shots. He gave some big shots, and he let Fabio in. He got caught on the ropes. For me, the experience he's got, he negotiated that well. He got through. We were getting caught with shots, but he was always, you know, he always looked like he was in control in the sense that he knew what he was doing, defending well. He was getting clipped with the odd shot, but he left himself there too long for a start. But a fighter of his level, I think that Howard Foster should have given him more time. And at the point of stoppage, he was actually pulling away from a shot. And he never, apart from the initial wobble when he went into that bit of a flurry, he didn't look troubled in that sense. He was pulling away, he was defending, he seemed to be clearing what he was doing. So I think for a fighter of his calibre, Joseph Parker, I think that was a bit of a harsh stoppage, because he's an experienced fighter. He's been in a lot of tough fights. He's only 33 years old. He's not washed up. Do you know what I mean? He's not a washed up fighter. He's still relatively young for an heavyweight. So I think it was, I'm not going to say a premature stoppage. I think it was a harsh stoppage. I think Howard Foster should have let it go a bit longer. Much in the sense that, you know, if you look at, it kind of takes it won't do, because if I was Fabio Wardley, I would be over the moon with that stoppage of, you know, if I was training him. And if I was Joseph Parker's team, I'd be devastated. I'd be thinking he's been harshly done to.
But, you know, as a counter argument to that very point, so I've looked at the counter arguments from both sides. So I understand that Joseph was hurt in the earlier round. You know, he survived that round. He was wobbled clearly, and, you know, Fabio unleashed a lot of punches on him. And then, obviously, we know Fabio's previously broken somebody's jaw. We know he's knocked every man out that he's fought. So you know this man can't be allowed to have a free target. So in Howard Foster's defence, and I think in that moment, there was about 30 to 40 punches that were pretty much unanswered. I know some missed, but obviously Joe was on the ropes, he backed up. I think Tyson Fury made this point as well. You've got to show the referee something. So is it a fair argument that the referee kind of was potentially protecting him from being totally cleaned out?
You can make the argument for a fighter who's not as experienced as Joseph Parker. Look, let's turn it around a little bit. Look at when a fighter, Usyk's got Tyson Fury going more or less out on his feet with his hands down, sliding along the ropes, getting hit clean. That's the kind of place you need to be in this fight, because, you know, Joseph Parker's no slouch. He's not an inexperienced kid. He's a very good fighter. Got a lot of experience, and Howard Foster knows that. Fabio Wardley hasn't got a lot of experience. Yeah, he's a puncher. He could have punched himself out in that flurry. You know, Parker could have said, well, I was just waiting for him to get tired, because you can't keep punching like that for 2 or 3 minutes. You can't. You're going to have to stop at some point. And it happens. You've seen it in fights, big fights.
I've seen it with your fighter recently, Brad Goldsmith.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got to take that into consideration. And an experienced ref like Howard Foster, you know the quality of the fighter. Joseph Parker is no slouch. He's not an easy fighter. He's not rubbish. He's not chinny. He don't quit. He's been on a good run. He's not old. He's not punchy. He's never really been in serious trouble in any of his fights with more experienced fighters than Fabio Wardley. So for me, not taking anything away from Fabio Wardley because he got the win and he deserved the win. And who's to say that, you know, it could have gone another round and then Fabio would have got him in the next round? Who knows? But, you know, it could have gone on a bit longer. He was defending well Joseph Parker, slipping shots. He was getting caught with some a lot around the back of the head, top of the head, whatever. But he had his hands up. He was rolling some. He was catching some. Not every. There might have been like 40 odd shots, whatever. Not every one of them hit him. So that's what you got to. It's an interim world title fight. You know what I mean? It's not a low-level fight, and it's an high-level operator. So for me, I thought it was a bit harsh, but a win's a win. He protested a bit at the end, Joseph Parker. Maybe he was more hurt than he let on, or he wasn't as hurt, I don't know. But for me, it could have gone like 11th round. He's in front.
There's a minute and a half left.
Right, it doesn't matter because Fabio Wardley probably can't punch for a minute and a half. To maintain that attack. And he was in front in that fight, and there was another round to go. So let's see where it'd end up if it'd gone a bit further on. But Fabio Wardley's got that strength, and there's two types of strength you get from kids. He's not a particularly muscular kid, but he looks like one of them kids. We all had them at school when we were young kids. They went through puberty about 11 or 12 years old, got facial hair, body hair, and like we were all little. Kids, we're not even matured, and you always got them type of kids in your year, like at 12, 13. They're always like a mature kid, and he just strikes me as one of them kids who matured really early, thick-set kid, got that strength. And like I said, there's two types of strength. One with ginger strength. Never mess with ginger kids. You know what I mean? Ginger kids always had strength and a bit of a fight in them.
You can say that because you're ginger.
In
case somebody comes out and attacks you. Well, Dom is ginger.
Well, we had a fighter years ago called John Bagley. He was a strong kid. But the one I'm going to bring up is a fighter called Jeff McCreesh, and we've mentioned Jeff McCreesh before. He boxed one of my kids called Steve Goodwin. He got disqualified against Steve Goodwin because he was just too aggressive. But this Jeff McCreesh, and the reason we talked about him last time is because he once failed a drug test for a European title fight for steroids. He ain't got a muscle on his body, but he was vicious and he was ginger, and he beat everybody. He knocked out Kevin Lushin, who boxed Felix Trinidad. He boxed a kid called Michael Smythe from down Wales who were punching, knocked him out. Ross Hale, he knocked him out, I think. He went through all the welterweights back in the day, and he hammered everybody, and he got that strength. We call it ginger strength, and he got that. Well, Fabio's got that kind of strength. Obviously, he's not ginger, but he's got that kind of strength where he don't look particularly muscular, but he's got that physicality about him that he knows that if he can put it on somebody and he gets the chance, that's all he needs. Much like when you saw Pavlik fight Jermaine Taylor. Remember that fight?
Yeah.
And Jermaine Taylor, what a skillful fighter he were, and he had Pavlik all over the place and had him wobbled and beating him up for so many rounds, and then Pavlik just dug in, covered up, kept throwing the right hand, punched his way through, and eventually ground down Jermaine Taylor and finished him. And that's the kind of fighter that Fabio is. He's prepared to be losing rounds, to lose rounds, and in the belief that if I just get that one chance, that bit of a glimmer, where I can put something, I'm gonna get him, and he did it with Joseph Parker.
But there was moments in that fight earlier on that he hurt Joe and Joe hurt him. It was that kind of back and forth, even though Joe started winning the middle rounds towards the end up until that moment. So does that not show maybe, because I spoke to Duke McKenzie earlier, and he kind of said that Joe fought his fight, and he also talked about the weight as well, because I think Joe, it was a career high weight for Joseph. So I don't know if you think if that was a positive or a negative for him, but I think Duke suggested that would slow him down, make him tire out quicker. He should have looked to maybe box him rather than trying to fight his fight, which was basically in the box.
Maybe it was a combination of things, thinking he needed to have a bit more weight on him to handle, absorb some of the punches, to have a bit more weight behind his own shots as well. But Joseph Parker's a good boxer, and I would say he's a better boxer than Fabio Wardley, because Fabio Wardley's not. He came from that street level, from the unlicensed stuff. Not taking anything away from him, because it just goes to show that if you've actually got it in your mind to win a fight, and you'll have a fight, and the thing with Fabio Wardley, can give it, but he can take it. And there's a lot of people who can give them shots, but they can't take them. And he can take them. So it's a toughness he's got about him. And yeah, you're right, it was a bit back and forth in the fight. But as the fight progresses, goes on, you would think that the man with the more experience in the boxing ability can kind of pull away and control the pace a little bit, tire his man out, box his way through.
Why didn't he?
Well,
why didn't he hold?
Well, exactly why didn't he? Maybe he didn't think that Fabio Wardley were going to be, that difficult. Maybe he thought he got it under control. Maybe he was happy enough to fight that kind of fight until he got that's what I'm saying to you, he got caught with a shot, what kind of did turn the fight around. He got caught with shots earlier in the fight, what wobbled him a bit, but he came back from it. But as the fight goes on, obviously you're going to be more fatigued. It's going to affect you more. And, you know, Fabio being slightly a bit younger, 30, Parker 33, you know, Joseph Parker will have got a kind of idea about how good a fighter is, and he probably thought this kid's not on my level. Peak fighters they do that.
Here's a question for you. If it wasn't, let's just say that moment carries on, we replay the fight back to that moment where Joe's on the ropes, Harold Foster doesn't step in, minute and a half left in round 11, there's another round to go. If you was to do a hypothetical prediction, do you think that at some point Fabio would have stopped him, or would Joe have survived that moment, do you think?
Well, if he'd have survived that, you know, his corner team,
Andy Lee?
Andy Lee should have just said to him, look, just move in this round, run away. Look at Billy Joe Saunders against Lemieux in 12th round. Just, you don't need to stand and engage, you're winning fight. What's the point? Move, win the fight. You've had a rough round, survive. Have a fight, you know, stand and punch when you got to, hit and move, get out of the way, rope it up, get through the fight. That's what you say, not go out on your shield. But look, it is what it is. It was a good fight. You know, fair play to Fabio Wardley, like I said, from where he's come from unlicensed boxing, he's the Lenny McLean, isn't he? That's where he is. And I won't be surprised, you know, I don't know what his acting's like, but he could probably go into film because he's got that rough look about him, like Jason Statham, Lenny McLean, Vinnie Jones. You know what I mean? He's got that like rough look about him, hasn't he? So he could probably get into films after his boxing career.
Well, you mentioned this Lenny McLean character a few times, so I googled him, and I'll put the picture up now on the screen. There is a slight, I hope if Fabio's watching he don't get offended, there is a very slight resemblance between him and this Lenny McLean character. Obviously Lenny's a white guy, but there is, I don't know if it's maybe just the forehead, I don't know, but there is a very slight resemblance.
Well, that's not the best photo of him. He's a bit heavy there. You need to look at Lenny McLean when he was younger.
Okay.
And there's a better photo. I won't put that one up. There will be a better photo, but he's just got that ruggedness about him, Fabio Wardley. And like I say, you've got to give him his dues, because it's funny because a fight came up on my phone this morning of him having an unlicensed fight against a little short tubby kid, and he stopped him. And he was very basic then, Fabio, but when you look where he's been there in that unlicensed fight to where he's got to on the world stage, it's a massive, massive transformation. And you can't have, you know, you can't help but admire the kid that he's followed his dreams and, you know, stuck it out there with basic ability, just toughness. He can fight, don't get me wrong, but he's not like what I call a classic type of boxer. He can fight, he's tough, he's hard, he'll get it. And like I said, the fight when he boxed that Honey, there were times there you could see him, he looked like he was doubting himself. He said, this is not going the way I want it to go. And he like a bit disgusted with himself, and he just turned that fight around.
There's a couple of questions for you, so this is probably an easy answer for you with Joe. So there's a few people criticising Joe's previous wins, because obviously he came in on a really good run of beating Wilder, Zhang and Bakoli. Them wins are now being dissected, as people normally do. No doubt in years to come they'll probably dissect Wardley's win over Parker, but they're saying Bakoli came in at 24 hours notice, he was overweight. They're saying Zhang was too old, and then Wilder was finished. So they're saying them wins are overrated. Are them wins overrated, or have we been too critical?
Boxing, we've said it time and time again, is all about timing. And you can take your chance. That's what you do. And it doesn't matter whether somebody's coming short notice or whether he's boxed somebody who's a bit old or whatever it is. A win's a win on paper, and that's it. And if them people are going to step into the ring with Joseph Parker, whether they've trained or they haven't trained or whatever they've done,
on them.
That's down to them. As long as he's doing his thing, the problem is when he's not doing his thing. And if he's training and to his best of his ability, then he's going to win the fights probably no matter what. So it doesn't matter what people are saying. That's how boxing is. And you'd be surprised when people used to say to me, boxing's fixed. Well, it's not fixed, but it is fixed in a way that, I'll give you an example. Floyd Mayweather used to box in May and September. And he never picked, he had about 5 opponents named who he'd going to pick. And he never told them until about probably 8 weeks before who he was going to pick. So he put the names out there who were thinking of boxing. Nobody's going to turn down a fight with Mayweather because he's going to get paid a load of money. So he chucked the names out there. Some of them had trained. Some think, well, I'm not training until the contract's signed. Do you understand? Maybe he had his spies in the camp, seeing who were doing what they were supposed to be doing. And maybe he didn't. But that's what you're doing. You look and think, right, who's the least prepared? I'll pick them. And when you chuck enough money at fighters, it don't matter whether they're fit or not.
take
they're going to fight it. They're going to fight. So you can manipulate. You can manipulate it in that sense. Same if you're a promoted fighter and you're fighting 4 times a year, and you know when you're fighting, and you know when you've got to peak and then come down and peak again, then you can like, who wants to fight this kid for £1 million back in the day? Yeah, I'll fight him. Well, I'm not quite ready. Well, I'll give you 1.2 million then. All right, I'm ready then. Do you know what I mean? So you can gauge it that way so that you've got the advantage.
Here's a question about Fabio for you. I think we spoke about this a while ago, where we talk about how kids from, you know, rough upbringings, hard backgrounds, you know, coming through hardships, have this like extra determination, extra grit, resilience in the ring. Fabio's described as this office worker. I can't remember what job he did, but he worked in an office in a suit, etc. The way he's kind of described his past life, you know, I know he's lived in America as well. His dad's Nigerian. He was like back and forth between America and here, but he was definitely not from the streets or anything like that. Has he kind of broken that kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Mold that you can find people like that from your average everyday walk of life as well?
There's obviously something. It's funny because I read a book years ago called Sharks in Suits. I think it's about psychopaths. So it don't matter whether you're wearing a suit or you're working an office job, it's what's in your head. And there's a saying, not all psychopaths are murderers and not all murderers are psychopaths. Yeah? So if you've got that kind of edge to you where you've got them kind of tendencies to like be able to distance yourself and then beat somebody up and then put yourself back in that normal role, well, that's all that's needed in boxing. You've got to be able to detach yourself a little bit from it. And the detachment sometimes comes from living a rough life, like on the streets, and not having any parents look after you and having to bring yourself up and having to fight for survival. That kind of makes you be able to cut off from stuff, and it gives you that kind of edge. But that can also be done in different ways, not having that rough upbringing. So, you know, there's different ways to achieve it. You know, Kell Brook, for example, weren't brought up on only when he was a young kid, but as he got older, he had quite a decent life. You know, his dad provided, well, he got a few quid, but, you know, he got that hunger because he had a desire to fight. So the desire to fight, prove yourself. And if you've got a father, you say his father's what? Nigerian. You know, Nigerian, the thing I find about African men of Nigerian is they're kind of strict with the kids, ones I know, and disciplinarians. And they do make good fighters. You tend to find that, you know, there's a lot of good Nigerian fighters. So having that instilled into you from a young age, survive, do the best you can, be disciplined, have a disciplined, strict upbringing, then you tend to develop habits, you know, successful habits. So maybe that's what it is. You don't always have to be, because there's loads of rough kids off the streets who are violent and everything else, but they can't fight. So it's a combination of a lot of things. So, but we don't really know, do we, Fabio's true background? There could be something else to it.
Yeah, you did tell me a while ago. I've got it on an interview. Went into detail about his upbringing and his history, etc. So I'll have to dig that up. I hope I ain't got the country wrong. I'm pretty sure you said he was Nigerian. But either way, here's a question for you. Just give us a nice short answer. If he fights Alexander Usyk next, has he got a chance to beat Alexander Usyk?
You know, that's another one, isn't it? And there's not even a short answer to that, because if I say it and say, oh,
I don't want you to predict it.
He shouldn't be able to beat Alexander Usyk, should he? Alexander Usyk can just outbox people for fun if he wants, and especially somebody who's got limited boxing ability like Fabio compared to him.
So this reminds me of something I said last week to you. I don't know if you remember when you was predicting the fight. I said, but he just needs 1 second.
Yeah, he does.
And he's found that 1 second in the last 2 fights.
But not many people have found that against Usyk. Yeah, Tyson Fury has, but Tyson Fury is another different kettle of fish in there. But there's always a time. There's always a time when, you know, the new blood comes through. Is it going to be this fight? Is it going to, you know, is Usyk the type of fella to think, well, this Fabio Wardley is nothing? I don't think so, because he'll be looking and thinking, well, he's beat Wardley Parker. And sometimes, no matter how hard you train, you know, Usyk's been in a lot of tough fights. Sometimes the ambition goes without realising the ambition goes, your timing goes, your endurance goes. All these things can disappear. When you get older, your fitness, your strength goes a lot quicker. with inactivity if you're not keeping on the top of it. So there's always that point. You can never say never, can you? You know, it's not beyond Fabio Wardley to beat Usyk, but you would think that the chances are highly unlikely. And you know, I'd have to go if that fight's made. When is it going to be?
Who knows? But
Right.
we still don't know what Usyk
It probably
said.
needs to be made in the next 6 months or so.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
This is the last question for you. He's Usyk's on box strike. Usyk is now still number 1. Fabio's now number 2 on box strike. Ajit Cabell's 3, Dubois 4, Okoli's 5, Tyson Fury's 6, and then after that is a mixture of fighters. But does he warrant his place as the second best heavyweight on the planet, would you say?
Well, it's computerised rankings, isn't it? So they
But
take.
in your opinion, is he the second best heavyweight on the planet? Like if you put him in mythical fights with like Okoli, Joshua, Itauma, all these guys, in top of your head, do you think he'd?
I think he beat Okoli.
Yeah, but based on his, how shall I put it?
Who's number
Based
two?
on his achievements compared to the others, obviously he's beat bigger names than Itauma, for example.
Yeah. Probably not number 2. No, probably top 5.
Who's your number 2 then?
Who have we got? Who's at number 3?
It's got to be active. Number 3 is Ajit Cabello.
He's not a bad kid, is he? He could be number 2.
Okay.
He's a
Great
tough
fight, them
yeah,
two, innit?
Yeah, it'd be a good fight.
Great fighter. One's a crazy body puncher,
Yeah.
one's a hellacious puncher to the head. So,
But we're going to talk about. We're going to ask about. We're going to talk about Dillian White and Chisora.
oh yes, yeah, I did tell you we're going to talk about Dillian as well. So, I think what we'll do is we'll wrap up this episode here now, and I think we'll talk about the Dillian White and Chisora in the next episode.
Coming to you from a secret location.
Secret location, and also what we've got coming up. Hopefully, we're going to do some bonus episodes with some special guests. Let's see if anyone can guess. I tell you what, if someone can guess the special guest we've got, I hope the person don't let me down now. Hopefully, we're going to film that in the next few days. It's a professional boxer, undefeated, big puncher. I don't want to give it away completely. Taller than Dom.
Sometimes I've not had a lot of nice things to say about him.
Yep.
So that could be confrontational, to be honest.
Yep. So if someone can guess the answer to that, message it to us on the WhatsApp group. If you've not joined the Boxing King Media WhatsApp group, the link will be in the comments. And also, if you want to buy the Dominic Ingle punch bag, not the Dominic Ingle punch bag, the Ingle gym punch bag that Dom was punching at the start of the video, I've put the email address up where you can obviously inquire about that. There's a limited edition launch on that, so there's only a few of them available, and yeah, just try punch them. They're really different. So that's it, Dom. Hopefully we'll catch up in a new location in the next few days. Thank you.
Over
very
and
much.
out.
Thank you.
You know, the dreams do come true. Reality sets in, and you know, we're here.
Respect isn't given, it's earned. In blood.